Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the day of the video. Darren, how's it going today? Today it is the afternoon. I've gone through the entirety of today without gelling my hair. That was a cock up. Went to work without gelled hair. What? It's so much better. I generally find it more difficult to think when my hair's not stuck out in my way. I feel like it's on my forehead and it irritates me. So what's been going on today, ladies and gentlemen? Today, woke up a little bit later than normal because I was having a dream that I was doing something for the French government. And the alarm went off, but there was I had to do things in a certain order, and I'd messed it up because the alarm had gone off, and I needed to do something before the alarm had gone off, so I was waiting for the alarm to go off again, even though it wasn't going to go off again. That was weird. Otherwise though, we got ready, headed on into work. Today, officially the kids are back at school. It is absolutely alarming, the difference in traffic between kids at school and kids not at school. The end of our road is a relatively main road. I mean, it's not like a main road, but it's one of the main roads in and out of Bristol. Bristol's a bit like a spider web. And it's one of a few, but it's not even one of them really, but it's kind of that style. It goes all the way to the edge of Bristol, then joins up with a road that goes directly into the centre. At 7:30 in the morning when I leave, for the past 6 weeks while the kids have been off, I've literally come out, empty road, and I just go, right, okay, cool, pull out, go. Today, standstill traffic. Literally standstill traffic. And they wait for a gap to open up big enough for me to let me through, to flash me through, and then I go on my way. But literally, last Friday or last Monday, pulled out, no cars on the road. Zero. Today, fucking standstill, because schools are back. It's crazy. I get that obviously kids might be going to school at certain times or whatever, or parents might be dropping kids off or going to work at different times or things like that. I don't bloody well know. But that many people? Jesus. So, ladies and gentlemen, today I finished 2 tutorials, and the last tutorial and the last, the penultimate tutorial, well, the last couple of tutorials weren't really codey, so they were just reading. The last codey tutorial was comparators, and I flew through comparators. Oh no, there was another one that was quite codey. Flew through comparators with relative ease. It's just a lot of code and a lot of unit tests. I think I checked in that commit, in that push up to the server. I pushed up 70 odd unit tests in one, because we had to write 2 comparators. We had to write the objects that we were comparing for one, so I had to go and overload equals and all that bollocks. And then we had to implement 2 comparators, one using Google's Guava thing and one using our own, and then I unit tested both of them. I wrote my own first, then copied over to the Google one, and the Google one don't work. It doesn't work the same. If you have a string and you do call string.compare, it returns how many, alphabetically, how far away you are. So, are you minus 25 or whatever, things like that. If it's A and Z, it will be minus 25. The Google one just goes -1. It took me fucking ages. I had to dive through their source code. I'm what happens? And then at the very last minute they go, are you minus or positive? Minus, cool, -1. I'm like, why? So, that was interesting. But I finished, got that checked in, and then I did the next couple of tests. One which was a piece of software that we have at work, which I heavily disagree with. We'll talk about that in a minute. The rest was about web accessibility and all that crap, which was easy. And I finished tutorials after nearly 2 months of being at work. I'm now allowed to do work that isn't tutorial based. Yes. It's going to be weird. I don't really know. I finished in the last 15 minutes. I didn't tell anyone I finished. Tomorrow I'll tell the boss, but I don't think he gets in until an hour and a half after I get there, so I don't know what I'm going to do in the morning. There's this coding challenge that someone has, the contractors are in to try and make us write cleaner code and all that kind of stuff, and he's put a design challenge forward to us, and I want to try and do that, but I know that because I basically go on holiday soon, it's quite difficult for them to. I don't really know what the boss wants me to do, because is it worth me getting my teeth stuck into something only to then disappear? If it's something that you actually want by the end of the sprint, what happens if it needs doing and I fuck off for 2 weeks? So I don't know. But then obviously it doesn't. I can't twiddle my thumbs for however long. But we'll see. So I won't know what's going to go on until tomorrow, until I actually get there for a change. It's going to be the first time that's ever happened, which is good. Otherwise, this thing that they have, which I disagree with heavily, this piece of software that they created, that they use to document their code. So what they have is they have some frameworks that you put into your unit tests. So your unit tests write the documentation for you every time they run. So within a unit test, you'll go through and you'll say, you like describe the thing that you're testing and why it works in a certain way, and it creates like what you're creating, like, you know what you see on the web, it like creates all the stuff. And it fundamentally doesn't make any fucking sense in the slightest. For what, like, it kind of makes sense for integration tests, and even then, like, why that performance loss all the time being regenerated? Why can't it just be generated from the comments inside the code itself? I don't know. So what you're supposed to do is on every unit test you add in these things where it registers and creates a text file, or a HTML file actually, with like the layout of the, and like instructions about like how something works. So you'd add it to like a REST API into the unit tests for a REST API, and it would explain all of the stuff. I'm like, but unit tests, like one method can have several unit tests that protect it. Like several. So how do you spread that out? How do you decide where all this stuff goes, for one? And the idea is, apparently, that as code changes over time, your unit tests change over time, but developers always forget about the documentation. Which I understand that, that's a completely valid argument, but putting the documentation inside the unit test doesn't make you write documentation every time you change the unit tests. It doesn't do anything like that. Like, all it will do is stop you writing the fucking unit tests, because it doesn't make sense writing the documentation in the unit tests, or it stops you writing unit tests altogether, because, like, people will do integration tests. And that's not as good. That's not what you need. You need both. So I'm gonna highlight this when I'm asked about it in my next tutorial. I'll be like, yeah, I understand it. I understand how it works. Why was it invented? Because, like, your documentation. I understand that obviously you want to keep your documentation up to date and all that kind of crap, but either you do it at a unit test level, like they suggest you do, and the documentation is really hard to write. Or you do it at an integration test level, in which case changing different units of code isn't going to force you to change the documentation. So you've lost your main goal. And calling that unit testing, oh, this is really bad. It's a really bad idea. I'm not impressed with it at all. And I'm going to guess that is why my project, my tutorial project, has more unit tests than the entirety of their system does. Actually, that's not true, because some of my total tests, I've got like 80 odd integration tests, maybe between 50 and 80 integration tests. I've got 535 tests. I don't know how many of them are unit, I don't know how many of them are integration. But I know that I've got less than 100 integration. They have 500 unit tests for their entire thing, and then like 10,000 integration tests. And I bet Bolsterdoc, that's what they call it, by the way. I don't know if I should have said that's too long a clip for me to refilm. And I bet that is the fucking reason why. I'm gonna come out and say it. The reason is because of the way the documentation is generated. Why can't you just write your code in a way that the comments explain it? And then your comments come out in the Java docs, and that's just what Java docs are for. Anyway, but yeah, so beyond that though, finished tutorials, came home, sorted out my daily vlog. It's now just gone 6 o'clock. Laura's been promoted at work. Today's her first day, like, in a new job role, and now she gets invited to like these kind of like social event kind of things. She's got like this social event thing for the higher pay grades that she's now like within. So she's going to this social where they've because they've created a new department in a different city, and she's like there with us on a social thing as the new people are being trained. So she's not going to be back till late. So I don't know how we're going to fit shopping in today, but either way, I have time to do some programming. Going to get my laptop out. Lunchtime I was doing some programming on my own project. I've gone through and I've refactored some stuff. I went back in time to some of the older stuff, into some of the older sections of the code, refactored something because one of the arguments in the old system used to be a relative path to solution. Now it's just a solution name. You give me the name of the solution, I'll find it, instead of you giving me a path towards it itself. Which makes more sense, it's more user friendly. But obviously meant changing some stuff. So I went back through, made all those changes. I've realised that my help, the way that I generate help text, ironically, after just complaining about that, is broken. I went through like debugging it and it just wouldn't work. I realised that I actually never debugged that though. It works when it generates help text after it's thrown an exception, but not the first way round. It hasn't been until recently that I figured out how to even run their code, because it doesn't create an exe until I like do an actual deploy. So that's quite annoying and quite weird, to be honest with you. But I'm going to go through, figure out why that's going on, and yeah. So today, I'm a bit rambly, aren't I? Today is the first day that I've been logging how much time I spend on this project. So I've got like a little button on my phone where I press it and then it starts recording how much time I'm spending on something. Specifically on this. And I'm trying to do that so I can figure out like the average amount of time I spend on it, because I think I spend about 2.5 to 3 hours a day on it. But I want to get a more accurate figure of that. Mainly for my own insight, so I can see like, so I know how many hours a day I'm working, I guess. But yeah, and I want to be able to. I'm also thinking about tracking how many hours a day I like spend with Laura, in like, but that's dinner and stuff. It's a little bit harder to track. But yes, I'm annoyingly as well doing that in a different area to other things that I've done. Like it's not in Asana, fuck knows, or anything like that, or like to-do lists or calendars or anything like that. It's just on like a random app, and it irritates me. But right, I'm going to fix this bug. I'm actually using Asana for bugs now, mainly because I can do it from my phone. I can't do Visual Studio online stuff from my phone at work. But there will be a time when I start committing things to stuff on Visual Studio. I just don't see the point until I've reached version 2.0, so I can release version 2.0. Now I just sit and wait for Laura, and also I've got to come over here, press the button on my phone. My phone battery, by the way, I'm going to complain about my phone now. I've had this phone for just over 2 years. Well, I'd say that, 2 years and a couple of months, which means the bastard has started not working. It started slowing down, and now the battery drains. So I come home and have like 20% battery. And it used to be I'd come home and have 50% battery. So it's come to its age, and it's like, hey, if I pretend to be crap, Jamie might replace me and spend some more money. So that's irritating me. I'm waiting for the new Nexuses, or the new Pixels, whatever they're going to be called. And then I might consider upgrading if they look good, but otherwise this phone is playing up on me. It's very irritating. Okay, let's press my button. Let's get some work done. No, it's really good having something that you can like press pause, like hit play. It's now timing me. It's counting how much time I'm doing. It drives you to procrastinate less, I think. It's really like inspiring. I'm working now. I've just put dinner on because Laura's on the way back. I'm working now at like the same ferocity that I work during my lunch break. Like my lunch break at work, I have a limited period of time, about half an hour, to do some work. So I work really, really fast and really, really hard. And now, because I've got this timer on, I feel like I'm doing the same thing, which is really, really good. And it's also really good as well because, like, to come into here, I've just pressed pause, and then I can go back in, carry on, press play. I fixed my issue with the help text. This is one of the problems I've had with not being able to write acceptance tests yet. With the fact that spec flow doesn't work. which is really quite a ball ache. But that's working, although I have noticed that, again, something I haven't noticed before, you can basically, if you're using the command line, you can request for help. If you make a mistake, it'll throw like a simplified, an exception message that should be understandable, assuming that it's a user manageable exception. If it's like the system throws a system error, then it will just say failed. But if it's like a user input error, it would relay that information back to the user and then it will display the help text. If you put the help text argument in, it will give you the help text. If you put the help text argument in along with another argument, it will just give you the text for that argument that you've asked help for. In the scenario where the argument that you pass in along with your help text argument requires information, i.e. the one that requests a solution name, if you use that tag, it has to be required with information. If you do that and ask for help at the same time, it'll throw an exception because you haven't given it information. So I need to try and figure out a way of fixing that. I've raised a bug for myself. I'm going to do it because it's to be done by today. It's critical. So yeah, that's on my to-do list. Laura should be back in about half an hour. I should bring the timer in here at some point soon as well because I don't want dinner to burn. But it's true past debate, which means dinner's not going to be ready now until about 7:45. We're going to eat. We're going to have to leave at around 8ish. We're going to be an hour behind schedule here. Crazy. This is interesting because I simplified the way this would work. Simplified it and introduced a book in the way this would work because I didn't want my argument factory, my argument store factory, which is like creating a collection of arguments, was a little bit too clever. Like it would do things. It would throw an exception if it got a help text thing, and I managed the help text by throwing an exception, which was shit. Don't do that. So I tried to figure out a different way of doing it, but what I'm doing is I'm not logging when a help message comes through. So I need to have some kind of flag that says I've got a help thing. I no longer care if you've got, if you need help text or not. Time jump, ladies and gentlemen. It is bedtime. It's after midnight, but it's not 1 o'clock yet. But I've just finished a chunk of code, so it's like it's a good point to stop at this point. What's been going on? Laura came back home. She got back. I can't remember what time she got back, but we ate like when I said we'd eat, and we headed on out to go shopping. This is the first time I've gone shopping, and it's been dark when we've left, and you have to go with like headlights on and stuff, because we're an hour and a half behind schedule. So, I mean, it's not a problem or anything. But anyway, we go shopping, we pick up all of our stuff. Which well, to be fair, there's like less stuff at that time, but not massively noticeable. Got back here, and then it was a case of like I had to sort of stuff out, so I had to pack all the chopping away, empty the bins, and for some reason there was like fucking bin juice at the bottom of the bin, so that needed cleaning out. Like packed away everything, upped my sugar, stole some sugar from this pot so I could take some sugar to work, and things like that. That's about all, really. And then we sat and watched the news and stuff before Laura went to bed. Laura went to bed about don't know what time Laura went to bed, to be honest with you. I'm just trying to look now. I've done that. I logged it, you see, so I'm just going to have a check. Laura went to bed about 11 o'clock, eventually, because like we fucking running behind today. We normally go to bed earlier than that, what Laura does. And then I started doing some work. I have fixed the bug that I found to do with help parameters, help arguments and things like that. What I'm basically doing now is lazily loading the argument, the data that they need to store. So previously what I was doing was I was going through, taking the string from the command line and going, okay, that matches this argument and this is the data that comes with it. pass that to the argument builder. The argument builder then goes, right, okay, so this argument requires, does this argument require more information? Yes, it does. Do I have more information? No, throw an exception. So now I have the arguments will just accept whatever data is given to them, be that no data or all the data, and then when you try and get it back out at the end, that's when it will do a verification on whether or not it's actually received data or not. So I basically moved where the error is thrown, and when you get the help text and you use the help argument, you never get the data from the argument because you just want its text. So that's that problem solved with lazy loading. Beautiful. Otherwise though, ladies and gentlemen, that's about all. I've changed app to a different app for time logging. I'm now using a oh gosh, it's lost what's the date today? I'm now using an app called Swipe Times to track things. I think the other one was just so, it wasn't very feature rich, and like it wouldn't give me a report. I could sit and time it, but it wouldn't give me any reports at the end of it. This one's a little bit more clever, and I can actually put goals and things like that into it, and I can like push it to my calendar if I want to as well. Which I'm not sure why I'd want to retrospectively add things to my calendar, but who knows. Yeah, what I've done is on this app I've been able to set like a target in the week to work 7.5 hours, so another working day on my project. It would make sense if I had more than one project, because then I can actually see like instead of just a big blue circle saying, oh, you've done this much, I could have a different coloured sectors on the circle. So I might look at what else I can log on it. But yeah, I want to spend another working day a week. So I work 7.5 hours. 7.5 hours a day at work. And then over the week, I do that 5 times a week. And then over the week I want to generate another 7.5 hours of work on this. Having said that, today alone I have generated 38% of that goal already, although today has been significantly higher than normal, and I normally do it so the weekend can be either more relaxed or whatever. I allow myself to sometimes lose my weekend to having plans with Laura and stuff. But yeah, so it's going to be really interesting to see how the time like kind of spans, and how, because it's really easy to get frustrated at the fact that I don't think I'm getting enough time in. Like, I don't feel like I'm spending enough time on this thing, and I wish I could spend 30 hours a week on it. But I think if I look at a figure and it looks like I'm actually getting like 10 hours a week, then I feel like I'll be more happy. And starting a timer and then working is so much more productive than just sitting down and doing some work, because it's like, right, I've started my timer now, so I've got to do it. That's really good. I'm a fan of that work ethic. Also, let's review everything else as well. Asana, which is this logo, by the way, because I haven't got a clue how that's pronounced. So Asana is proving a really good way for me to track things that I need to do and when, without putting them in my own to-do list. Because I can track like things long term. Like I don't know if I said this yesterday, but I've realised that a change in the way that .NET Core works means that I don't natively support all of .NET anymore. I only support modern, well, I used to support all C#.NET, now I support all .NET Core, which is including VB, which is problematic. It means that I now need to add something in so that I can include old .NET as well. It means I need to like re-architecture some stuff, and those kind of re-architecture things were things that were in scope, but they weren't in scope for version 1.0, which version 1.0 is the thing that I'm rebuilding at the moment. So while I'm making some minor tweaks as I go, that's a nice to have later. So it's something that I want to remember, whack it on Asana and I can do it, and then otherwise, as I find bugs, I whack them onto there, and all that kind of stuff. The main advantage is that I can't have Visual Studio Online isn't playing, like I can't access that easily at work, because the advantage of Visual Studio Online is I can commit my code to specific check-ins, so I can go through and I can go, oh, I seem to have done a commit here that says this, that links up to this, and then I can see a big link of like why it's even happened. But at the moment, when I'm doing work at work, I don't have access to the internet. My laptop doesn't have access to the internet. So and also it's actually a pain in the arse making those things on Visual Studio. So at some point I might move to Visual Studio Online, but at the moment it's not important to me. And the other thing is Slack, which should have pinged, well, it's in night mode, which I'd only currently use for information on builds, which my build has just passed. Waheyyy. I haven't really thought of anything else I can use it for, although I might see if, because it integrates with Asana, I might see what integrations I can do there. I might see if I can get Asana to play nice with Visual Studio Online. It plays nice with Jira, apparently. But anyway, I'm going to head off to bed. Thank you very much for watching this video, ladies and gentlemen. It's been a very, very, very productive day. Really, like, immensely productive, actually. I've got a lot done. Oh, and after saying all of this, I actually managed to log 2 hours and 51 minutes of work today. Which doesn't sound a lot, but out of 24 hours, I'm spending 3. And that's why I say 7.5 hours a week. I'm aiming for 2 hours a day, minimum. And today I got an extra, I'm going to bed early, and I got an extra like hour before Laura got back, so. Right, bedtime. Thanks for watching. Tomorrow, or after the tutorials, so I don't know what's going to happen. But in the evening, we are going to the cinema. So there's that. I've got that to look forward to. Yeah. We're going to go watch War Dogs. I want to see Nerve, but we've literally just missed it. Like the last showings were today, so cock that up. But yeah, I haven't been to the cinema in a while. We're actually going to try a new cinema as well, so that's exciting. I'm looking forward to that. Cool. Catch you later.